Hi, welcome to Trick Fix. Today we're going to be focusing on variations. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the round variation, the Shirtkin variation, Feilong variation, and D-leg variation. I think the level of difficulty starts with the round and ends with the D-leg. So that's the order we're going to talk about them in. So let's get started. So the videos you see playing in the background right now are the variations that I did the other day, and they're going to be out of pop setup, they're going to be out of cheat setup, and B-twist setup. I think those are important to learn those before we learn the Cork variations, and the reason is because the Cork variation, it requires a setup. So whether it's even J-step, double step, scoot, TD raise, you need to have a powerful setup before you learn the Cork variation. And with the pop or the cheat step or the B-twist variation, you don't need a setup, you can just do it. So it's much easier to learn the variation initially in those tricks, and once you get those down, it's so much easier to adapt it into the Cork because they both hit the exact same axis when you're hitting variation. You're not learning necessarily the different tricks, you're learning the variation. So you should already be able to B-twist, and then when you learn B-twist D-leg, for example, you are not learning B-twist D-leg, you're learning D-leg. And then when you do Parafuso, which is cheat step D-leg, you're not learning Parafuso, you're learning cheat step D-leg. And so you just have the variation already. So if you know one variation version, you're just gonna be able to adapt it into the next one so much easier. So first off, we're gonna talk about the round variation. In the round variation, you can choose whether you want to do a front kick or a round kick, but essentially you're gonna, no matter which setup you're taking off of, you need to initially chamber your non-kicking leg, and then your kicking leg should follow the exact same rainbow or arc that your first one made. So that will allow you to get your hip turnover and your weight transfer so that you can land in complete or in your kicking stance that you want to. And then that transfers right over to the shuriken. So most people, when they hit a shuriken, they tend to lift their leg up, or they tend to almost round kick, like invert, and it doesn't look good right away, and they have a hard time getting their legs straight, they have a hard time pointing their toes, they don't know the path that their leg is supposed to hit. I've seen people that cut it short, so they lift it up, and then it drops right away. So you really want that big really show it off. And the way to do that is to get that round variation. It will transfer right into the shuriken. So watch a video of yourself doing a very good round variation. Your non-kicking leg will make that arc, and basically all you need to do, hit that exact same arc, but with a straight leg. And you're gonna be able to Feilong right from there. So that's the goal, is just get that easy version first, figure out how it transfers to the next one, and then you're basically on Feilong. The biggest problem with Feilong that I see is probably the cutting short of the left leg. So because you're doing two kicks, instead of, for example, with the shuriken, you can hold it out as long as you want because you don't have anything coming after it. But when you hit the Feilong, it's really important to get that hip turnover and almost try to land in complete. So if you don't know what complete is, basically, if I'm kicking towards you, instead of ending this way at 45, I want to come to complete. I should be all the way around. You'll be able to see that in the videos. Keep an eye on the slow-mos, watch the technique, pause it where you need to. Yeah, so that's pretty much with those. And D-leg's a little bit different, so I'm going to take a time to go over that. Okay, so with the D-leg variation, the biggest problem that people tend to have is getting their legs together as fast as possible. A few things you can do to work on that is probably 540 kicks, because it's gonna get that right leg, or your outside leg, your non-shuriken leg, if you're opposite side twister, just make that more simple, is to learn how to snap that leg over, so you're basically hypering it. I'm having some trouble with my right ankle, which is my 540 kick leg, and so some of my variations, they tend to come together past the 90-degree angle that I want. So This is the 90-degree angle. This is where you want your feet to snap together. They come together a little bit past that because I just have to be really careful not to land in hyper or with my feet putting weight equal, because I'm still coming back to that. So yeah, so that is the biggest problem is getting those feet together. The way to do that the best is you find the area that you need to hit the variation in. So for example, let's talk about a cheat step. You take your cheat step, you need to turn your body into the angle to hit that D leg. You tend to do it so quickly. You want to turn and twist so quick and get that D leg because you think the faster you go, the sooner your legs will snap together, but that's not the case. If you do it faster, then your left leg is just going to be too fast and your right leg will not be able to catch up because it's your takeoff leg. Your right leg is your takeoff leg. So if you're jumping off of it and you're going so quick, it's going to get left behind. It won't be able to snap back in. But the way to do it is going to be, you want to take that step and you want to jump as high as you can without hitting the variation axis. You need to jump up, and before you start to turn, you need to reach your max height. Now you're at your max height and you've been in the air for, maybe half a second. So your right leg is off the floor. So you can start bringing your feet together before they hit this area. If you start bringing your feet together here, they're not going to be together until over here. So if you start bringing them together here, then they'll hit together when you want them to. And then plus, now you're at your max height, you're gonna snap your feet together and you're gonna have the fall time that you want. But of course, like everything, it just takes practice and it takes time to get that. I think that understanding of the variation is gonna be vital into taking it to the cork. When you take it to the cork, it'll be the exact same concept. You swing as high as you can. You're going to be comfortable by doing that, hopefully, because you've learned the other variations. So once you swing up and you get that height, you turn over and you think, okay, now I'm about to hit this same axis that I hit in my Parafuso or in my pop D leg, whatever it is, whatever one you're most comfortable with. And then you can snap them together. And then, of course, just drill it over and over until you start to get comfortable with it. And another reason that you want to learn it out of these setups before you learn it out of cork is because you tend to get a lot more height with the cork. So the more height you get, and then the more likely you are to get hurt when you're doing new things. So these variations are super good for practicing them. Even if you can already do the cork variations and you want to just perfect them and make them sharper, or maybe you're going for cork variation and then you're trying to add the twist to it. You're trying to do a double variation. These are they're gonna really sharpen up your variations. I do these to warm up or to spice up combos too, because not a lot of people use these tricks. So, and the last thing that I wanted to touch on is going over the actual variation axis a little bit more, just so you guys have a better understanding of that. So basically, if you were laying on your back, and your legs are going up into whatever variation it is, that is going to be your D leg or your shuriken axis. When you're hitting around, I would say you're maybe at not quite on your back, not quite 45, but it all depends on the person and what you want the end result to look like. The biggest thing to making it look nice, regardless of the angle you're at, is how your hips transfer over, like in that rainbow that we talked about. And then the reason that people have trouble hitting that flat back, the positioning in the air, is because they tend to go upside down. So when you're practicing these variations, just focus on the angle that your body's at, and the angle you should see is from your shoulder to your foot or your hip. So just draw that line and figure out what angle you're at and play with it. You can try to invert it more, you can try to invert it less, and the key to all the variations is getting comfortable in the air, and you want to be comfortable hitting those different positions. And in the beginning of the video, I have myself doing some tornado kicks and then some like raised rounds. And the reason I do those raised rounds and even like it's like a raised shuriken is because it teaches you to hit it later. So in the cork variation, if you do it too early, you have so much more time left in the cork, you have to still land it and you still have to come to complete because it's a cork variation version. And so when you are doing the cork version, you need to hit it later, like in the raise version of those variations that I was doing in the beginning. And then the reason that you want to play with it too is because when you get to swings, which I'll go over in a later video, you actually want to be more upside down. So you want to get comfortable in all axes and all ranges. So just keep working on that, and comment if you have any questions.